maybe because of this orientation and this work and the healing and restorative things that the Trinity is up to in our lives, and that implies because there's been broken things and hurt things and bruised things.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, what if we could then bring the things that have been treated and addressed and touched and healed in our hearts, minds, bodies, and souls, then to other relationships. It doesn't make you immune from conflict, but it gives you something very different. The biblical realities of a Zoe life, I think, gives you some very different tools in which to move in and around and with those.
If you're receiving healing, you're becoming more of your true self.
Yeah.
Who God intended you to be before
Which was
all the stuff that got on you.
Yeah, episode ago, too.
Several, maybe.
But
couple. But you're bringing your true self to other relationships, and what we know is that if there's two people in an interaction and one person brings their true self to the moment, that interaction has a change.
With God, there is always more. More love, more life, more freedom. Welcome to Zoe's Exploring More with Michael Thompson. C.S. Lewis once wrote, "Our Heavenly Father has provided many delightful inns for us along our journey, but He takes great care to see that we do not mistake any of them for home." Join me and the team as we explore the kingdom together, discovering the deep truths and offering encouragement for the journey. There is always more.
Welcome, friends and allies, to the Exploring More podcast. Michael Thompson hanging out with SJ Jennings, exploring the kingdom in a series of the biblical realities of a Zoe life.
Yeah.
And if you're just joining us, you're 4 episodes behind because this is our 5th episode. We got one more, a 6th one that we're going to wrap things up. And we're talking about kind of the core tenets of a Zoe life. And Zoe is the Greek word for life. In John 10:10, I came that they might have life and have it to the full.
Yeah.
And so that's where the word Zoe is. It's a kind of life, and not a performance-based life. It's the kind of life that God is intending to live in you, and then through you. And I think in this session, as we talk about some of the different, the place that this plays out is in relationships and in community.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, relationship with God, relationship with Jesus, intimacy with Him, certainly.
Yeah.
That's where we want to and that's kind of where we started with this series, in that discussion. But the natural progression, I think, is to move into what does this look like? How do I move biblically with others in the context of the Zoe life? Right.
And so, I think about why Jesus came, again, not to get ahead of the recap, and to provide a life, a certain kind of life, but it's done in the context of relationship. That's why this is such an important episode.
That's right.
And in community. And we've said this for years. I mean, if it's in relationship, you get hurt and you get wounded, then it can be in relationship that you find healing.
Right.
And restoration. And if you are, and I believe Jesus does this, He's done it for me, done it to you, that you can get healing away from the crowd. You can get healing away from your family.
There's a time for that.
You can absolutely get healing, but you're going to get repurposed. You're going to get redeployed,
reprovoked,
and put back into places of relationship where maybe because of this orientation and this work and the healing and restorative things that the Trinity is up to in our lives, and that implies because there's been broken things and hurt things and bruised things.
Yeah.
And so, what if we could then bring the things that have been treated and addressed and touched and healed in our hearts, minds, bodies, and souls, then to other relationships. It doesn't make you immune from conflict, but it gives you something very different. The biblical realities of a Zoe life, I think, gives you some very different tools in which to move in and around and with those.
Yeah, and a different way to approach the same thing or say the same thing just in a different way is that if you're receiving healing, you're becoming more of your true self.
Yeah.
Who God intended you to be before
which was
all the stuff that got on you.
Yeah, episode ago too.
Several, maybe.
But
couple. But you're bringing your true self to other relationships, and what we know is that if there's two people in an interaction and one person brings their true self to the moment, that interaction has a chance.
Yeah, there's a hand down for a hand up.
That's right.
And in the ways that we can then relate, in the ways that we can communicate. We were just talking about this. I don't know if you remember yesterday or the day before. Even on our own team, it is a reality that communication happens when there's understanding. Mm-hmm. Not when your point is better than mine or my point is better than yours. That's how we try to communicate so often. Being who's more right.
Yeah.
Who's seeing it well.
Right.
Or better.
Right.
But to have understanding is really the goal.
I haven't done a Google search on this yet, but I know that communication and community, right? Community, right? There's a commonality of understanding.
Yeah.
When there's communication, there's a yeah, absolutely, man. And it's not like I'm on my hill and you're on your hill and you get to say what you want from over there, and I get to lob what I want to say over there.
You, right.
That's not really communication.
No, that's two guys yelling at each other.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So we're going to talk.
What's your name?
Yeah. So, oh man, I know the line. Yeah, stop.
All right, sorry.
So hey, we're going to be right back to talk about the biblical realities of a Zoe life in the very context that it's intended for, and that is relationships and community. So we'll be back after this break about the Good Man series, which we're pretty excited about. So we'll be back after this. Hey everyone, we are on the set of the Good Man series, this collection of videos that we are producing to encourage and equip men to become who they are in the kingdom. And so, this is something we've been dreaming about for a while. It's our hope that this 8-part series is both helpful, but also transforming, because my friends and I, we didn't know until we knew, and to be able to explore orientation and the idea that we are in a larger story, that we are important in that story, our story matters, and that God is up to good in our lives. That orientation is the kind of thing that every man needs in order to navigate this Middle Earth, this fallen place, and live victoriously, overcoming evil, right, as good men, walking with God, and hopefully walking with God together in intimacy, oneness, and connectedness with God and with brothers. So to have an oriented fellowship of men, to have brotherhood who are all in training and being equipped, encouraged to walk with God intimately for those that God has entrusted to them, their marriages, their children, their grandchildren, and to see generational masculinity redeemed, because we are all being grown up, trained up, healed up in ways that are going to make a difference for a long time. I hope you enjoy this series. Welcome back to the Exploring More podcast, where we're talking about the biblical references, the biblical realities, the theology of a Zoe life, this kind of life that Jesus offers and is available, and that in our history, in our story, in our journey, we've all taken hits, right? This is an earlier episode. I don't want to get too tangled up in, but because we live life outside the garden, right, SJ, there's a war going on. And in war, people get hurt.
Yeah.
And if you don't know you're in a war, there's no doubt.
Really confused.
There's a casualty rate that's 100%. Who was it? It was Gary who introduced us to that statistic in the NFL. What's the injury rate in the NFL? 100%.
Yeah.
They're coming in from high school. They're coming in from college, concussions. They're coming in from things that have been hurt, broken, sprang,
pain
torn.
They're living with.
Yeah, man. And so depending on how you want to look at it, all of those guys have had injuries and are playing with them. And then some of them are literally in that NFL season, in that particular week, getting injured. And they know it's part of they know it's part of that culture. The reality of that sport, any sport, there's injuries. And so I really think that and feel like for those of us who aren't athletic, we might not necessarily consider that there's been injuries in life, life outside the garden, as we say. So, yeah, man, turning into this, I love the term, and like you swing at it. How would you define, what would you say redemptive community is?
Yeah, I think it's different than the redemptive relationship that you have one-on-one with Jesus. And it's, as we've alluded to, putting it into practice with others, with the people in your life, because unless you're living, like a monk on top of a mountain somewhere, you're going to be interacting with people. And unfortunately, the tactic of the enemy in this war is to use people and their false selves to wound you. And
yours to wound them.
Yes, absolutely. Right. So a redemptive community is, even when that happens, right, we're oriented enough to say, okay, hang on, what was that all about, Jesus? That felt like my false self coming back or coming up, or I've never experienced that before, and I unleashed it on that guy. So, going to Jesus first, and then I need to go talk to that guy. Right? And one of the things, too, about redemptive community that we've walked out, not always perfectly, but we've walked it out, is that, when we are either witness to that moment as a third party, or when we're talking about it later and that other person is not in the room, we get to say something like, okay, so are you going to go talk to him, or are we going to go talk to him together? That is a part of redemptive community, and that might feel like a poke in the chest to some people, but it's not really meant that way. It's just meant to be an opportunity to not allow wounds to fester.
And turn into judgments, and resentments, and the infections that can
it
be
becomes cancerous. It's terrible. It's ruined relationships. I would wager that there isn't one person listening to the sound of my voice that has not experienced that. Like where something went sideways with someone, and either they didn't come to you or you didn't go to them and straighten it out. And now you've been estranged for 10 years.
And likely still talking about it.
Right.
As is the other person.
Hanging onto it in bitterness or unforgiveness or whatever it is. Yeah, man.
There is a tendency, right, and to talk to others about someone.
Gossip.
And I think we kind of minimize gossip, or kind of, but there is that real venting. Some name comes up. Oh, let me tell you what happened. Let me tell you what he did or she did.
Right.
Or
you think they hurt you? That ain't nothing.
And And so the other thing that you made me think of, SJ, was when somebody does do something hurtful, right, or harmful, it's not always an invitation to go way back in your story about why does that hurt? Is it because it's connected to some 25, 30-year-old wounding moment as a kid? Maybe, but no, when people are mean, it kind of hurts.
Right. And it's
When
not because my dad was mean to me. It's just because they're mean.
That was a mean thing to do or say or be.
Or unkind. Or
yeah.
however you want to
And
say
so,
it.
and that's when I think what we're exploring is, that's when having an opportunity to have somebody in community, in relationship, you do need somebody to talk about it with, but where does that lead?
Right.
And to your point, if it can lead to a difficult conversation, which most of us avoid the conflict
Because they're not fun.
because they're not fun, but if they can lead to a difficult conversation, maybe we can get that communication going that leads to understanding. And it might be that somebody then is repentant or sorry, or understands, what they said or did. But there's just so much of it that's untended to, and
unresolved,
and relationships end. And so redemptive community is kind of a pledge that we've tried to make again and again of how we want to live this way. Where somebody, like for instance, where somebody's sin does not define them.
Right. It's not the most
Or
prominent part of their identity.
But yet we don't let you keep doing it. That's not healthy either. So we're not enabling.
Right.
And as we look at some of the scriptures, just again, relationships and community, you go back to Genesis, we were made this way.
Right. It's not good for man to be alone. Right.
And he wasn't alone. He had the Trinity. But there's that someone like him. We want, the Trinity wanted us to be in relationship with them, and then in relationship, to one another.
Right.
And you see this thing called family. And oh man, can be such a glorious thing, and also such a brutal thing. When you think about what can happen to you in your family.
Oh, it's the primary source of wounding
and pain,
and primary source of hopefully love.
Of joy and love, yeah. So we've got personalities. Some are more extroverted, some are more introverted. We don't have time for the nature and nurture of that.
Yeah.
Which is present. But I like what you have in our notes. That we weren't meant to be isolated. So the risk is being vulnerable. You want to talk about that?
Yes, I do.
You're working on your
Yes, I do.
Your 6-year degree of vulnerability.
Yeah, my doctorate in vulnerability. Yeah, man. It's risky. It feels risky to be vulnerable with others, but it really is the currency of intimacy.
Such a great word, man.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. It's, yesterday we were on your back porch, and some of the things the guys were sharing that they are, as we wrapped up the Good Man series, we were on week 8 of it, and some of the things the guys were sharing, it was extraordinarily vulnerable, but we had earned the right, to hear those things, and they felt comfortable. And I don't even necessarily like the word safe, though that's not untrue, because it's not. When you're around oriented men in the context of redemptive community, women too, in the context of their relationships, when you're around oriented men in the context of a redemptive community, safe is not the goal, right?
Yeah.
I mean, goodness. Intimacy,
Yeah.
Knowing and being known, and it's a risk. It's
Yeah.
not safe
Yeah.
to be vulnerable because you are taking a chance on how the other men in that circle in this context might respond,
Yeah.
and they might respond poorly.
And I was just going to say, and what I love about that circle of 12 to 14 guys is they've learned in their own work and in this journey, they've learned how to be good listeners, responders. Maybe Landon can put the listening guide up there because it's a huge part of redemptive community, of relationships.
Yeah.
And
it's written into the Leader's Guide for the Good Men series too.
Oh, I'm so glad.
So,
yeah. And I think that I mean, where I want to go, I mean, I can't tell you too many couples that I've coached and worked with who you can even read that, but that doesn't mean you can do that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm amazed.
Yeah.
At the information and the don't do's and the do's in the listening guide.
Yeah.
And
I literally just told you don't do that. And you went and did it anyway.
Yeah, you just made it about you.
Oh my gosh. So confusing.
You know,
at times.
and so I think Brene Brown that we have followed over the years and vulnerability and empathy and listening and right, instead of being quick with a lecture, or my favorite phrase, well, you know what you should do.
Yeah.
But
and one of my favorites in this context is, well, at least fill in the blank.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
just
not helpful.
They're really designed to
Not
make
helpful.
you feel better about what the person is telling you.
I'm convinced.
Or more comfortable.
I'm convinced, bro, that this thing understanding, if we would give 3 to 4 times the time that we do give typically to understanding before we launch into our thing to say, man, there would be a lot less damage done. There'd be a lot more clarity in conversation. And I mean, I was with this one couple talking and they got it, the concept of asking questions. But you and I know what that means when we say that. And just because you ask a question, that doesn't mean that you're doing this well.
Right.
You can ask a bad question,
Right.
especially with your face, and I mean, well, what were you thinking at that time? Is a question. What were you thinking at that time? It's the same question. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's not inviting. It's
Body language is such a huge part of communication.
So it isn't just the question, but that's a big part of.
Remember, I got to tell the story. I remember being a part of the choir at the church where I was a part, on the worship team and all that. And it was either the pastor or the choir leader or whatever we were singing some song and they were like, "Are you joyful in the Lord?" I think that was one of the lyrics. And we were like, "Yeah, they were like," and the guy said, "Well, tell your face." Because you look like you're standing in line at the DMV.
You're
bro.
not convincing. Yeah.
Yeah. So, nonverbal communication is a huge part of it too, as you're asking questions and listening. Sorry for that tangent, but yeah.
So, part of this series, we're going to take another break in a second.
Yeah.
But part of this series that I want to talk about is that I have the privilege of traveling like we did yesterday afternoon with 12 guys, with a lot of guys that have been in this and in this practice and learning this. So when I step into a place, maybe speaking somewhere or, trying to help some people kind of get on the on-ramp, and which I'm not sure I live in a bubble yet or overly isolated, but a lot of my significant relationships are practicing these biblical realities of a Zoe life.
Yeah.
Not perfectly,
Right.
but practicing them. And, oh my gosh, the benefits are ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
And when I step into places that aren't operating that way, you know those Instagram videos where these guys, there's a couple of them who they watch something, they're like,
oh yeah. Construction
accidents,
workers. Yeah.
Yeah, it's that. I can be that guy.
Like
Like
stepping on a rake and hitting himself in the head. Like you're kind of going.
Yeah, swimming pool disasters.
Yeah, man.
He's got his floaties on and he's ready to get in. He's going.
Yeah, you're just kind of watching people go over the falls, man. Just
I was in a room last week, man, at a dinner, and these two people were going at it, and I'm like, we're here.
Right.
This is not.
Yeah, you're not in your bedroom.
It was unhealthy, and we all were feeling the like.
Yeah.
Like not that we couldn't handle it, but it just wasn't. It wasn't pretty, and I wasn't going to get involved. I wasn't going to referee, or like, hey, let's let's talk about this, and bring some regulation into that. Eventually they kind of
get up and leave.
Well, you're a dummy. Okay, you're a dummy too, and that's how it kind of ended. It
that's
didn't say that.
The two guys on each one on
false
their hill.
False self, right, and throwing
yelling
stuff over the hill.
Each other. What's your name?
Yeah, but when we take this break. When we come back, I think I want to just zero in on. I mean, this is. Jesus said it. The epistles, the writers tried to reinforce it. This is about loving one another.
Yeah.
And there's a few secrets to that I want to talk about when we come back after this next break.
Yeah.
If you're like, wait a minute, we're taking a second break?
Well, this is Landon came up with the idea, so if it's great, he gets the credit.
That's right.
If it's not, he gets the blame. But we're going to hear from, I think, somebody that has experienced the Good Men series.
Yeah.
And just share a little bit about that.
Yeah. So we'll be right back on the Exploring More podcast after this break.
So back in 2019, I went out to Montana for the first time with an invitation to go fly fishing for the first time. And we get out there, and the guide is showing us how to cast on the fly rod and kind of just going through the X's and O's. There's about 15 guys there, and he goes, hey, how many of you have ever fished before? Most of us raise our hands. How many of you ever, what kind of fishing? Like bass fishing? Yeah. Like bottom fishing, cat fishing? Yeah, from a boat? Yes. Like on the pier, out in the ocean, offshore? Yeah, all that. Hands up everywhere. He goes, all right, that's great. But you're going to have to forget all that. And I remember hearing that and thinking, that doesn't make sense. I think I'm going to come out here and be Bill Dance out here, right? River runs through it, Brad Pitt. And he's like, no, you got to forget all that, because fly fishing is nothing like that. It requires a certain finesse. You're really one with the fish. You're one with the fly rod. And it's just way different. The mechanics of it are way different. And isn't that so true for so much of life? And as we're stepping now, right, encountering God in the places of hurt and pain and wounding, finding healing, forgiveness, and freedom, and now moving into reclaiming the pieces of our lives that were stolen or lost, reclaiming that, recovering that, and through God's love and receiving God's love, now being entrusted to step into that. And again, I mentioned my kids and my wife because that is just so front and center for my stage of life. And it has been since my early 20s. The invitation to go with God, to go through and see what parts of me need to be chipped away, right? Back to the lion statue that Michael referenced, that getting those places chipped off of me that aren't me, so that I can become not just the dad and husband that my wife needs and that my kids need, but the dad and husband that I want to be, right? Not just becoming the man they need, but becoming the good man that I want to be.
Welcome back to the Exploring More podcast. So in the last few minutes of this, I brought up back to the biblical theology. biblical realities
Yeah.
of Zoe life. And this is to be done in relationship. And yeah, we see Jesus in relationship with his disciples, with the apostles, with his friends. We see him in the crowds and the multitudes. And not all his relationships were good. I mean, he had his critics for sure. People who they're not buying it. They didn't want him. So he dealt with that.
Yeah.
Even to a trial, a crucifixion, and then beautifully the resurrection.
Yeah.
But we have his disciples who he called friends, who also they're writing to these churches, to these communities of believers, first century believers, in how to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And the overarching instruction is, I think, what Jesus said to them, as I have loved you, so love one another.
Love one another.
And somehow there was a context for that, for those guys. Like that?
Yeah.
I mean, you wouldn't say that if you weren't sure that you have confidently done that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so I still think, and I don't think it's blasphemous, I still think at best when we get the Gospels, we are getting Cliff Notes.
Agreed.
That there was so many more stories.
Mm-hmm.
And John, I think, even says it. Hey, there is not enough parchment to contain all that was said and done.
Well, in your own experience, you wrote Heart of a Warrior, 283 pages or whatever it is, and then had to create a whole journal workbook for everything that couldn't
get
fit.
in there. Yeah, that was that was true.
Yeah,
yep.
man. Yep.
Yes, and so I just, what I'm saying is that in relationship and in community, this is how it plays out, and the biblical reality of it is discussed letter after letter.
Yeah. I think that's why in community, as Christ followers, we have to follow Christ.
Yeah.
In community, especially, because it's not without its pitfalls. It's not without its dangers. It's not without getting messy.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the tenets of redemptive community. It's going to be messy.
Yeah. This is, yes. This, and here, it doesn't.
So you have to stay close to Christ.
It doesn't get any messier than this. It does not get any messier than this.
No.
Love your enemies.
And neighbors.
Enemies.
Mm-hmm.
Love your enemy. Your neighbor's pretty messy. Love your enemies.
Yeah.
Right. If he punches you, turn the other cheek.
Oof.
If he takes your jacket, let him have it.
Mm-hmm. Matthew 5:9, blessed are the peacemakers.
And it implies that we're going to need peacemakers.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the part of love that we don't often identify with is the messy part. The part that you said earlier that, man, can we talk about something? Can we talk about last night? Can we talk about last week?
Yeah. That's Proverbs 27:17, iron sharpens iron.
We love it on a T-shirt.
Well, and it's not clean either. I mean, when two swords hit each other, or when you're making a sword, sharpening, there's chunks flying off. Right? That's a messy process in and of itself.
Yeah. Look it up. You got your phone?
No.
Okay.
Landon can look it up. What are you
Landon, look it up. Where two or more are gathered. I want to close this. It's not in our notes, but we'll take a hard turn into where two or more gathered in the messiness of this. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
Matthew 18:20. All right. Well.
When two or more are gathered in my name, there I shall be also. Talking about Jesus.
So when you back up Matthew 20:18, about 4 or 5 verses. Do you know what the context of that passage is?
I don't remember.
Conflict.
Yeah.
It's when a brother sins.
That's right. That's right.
And you confront him. And he says, go to hell. or
then you bring another
shut
brother
the heck
back
up.
with you
Or how
and
dare
all
you? He says, then you go find somebody else who it's not to go
Gang
2
up
on 1.
Right.
It's to, in love, confront and say, hey man, we got to talk about this. You didn't believe SJ, or you're not listening, right? You're not listening. You're not understanding.
Yeah.
And so we care about you, right? We're not here to punish.
Right.
We're here for peace.
And for communication.
Yes, all those
and
things.
to, like we said yesterday, build bridges of understanding.
Yeah. We love to pray. I mean, I'm just telling you, we love to pray that verse. Like, well, we're all here, and we all got our muffins and coffee, and where 2 or more gathered.
Yeah.
There you're with us.
There is love.
That's not the context of that verse. So redemptive community, messy relationships, that's where love is supposed to have its place. That passage goes on in Matthew 20 to say, hey, and if he or she doesn't respond in that kind of loving confrontation, then it's like, yeah, well,
yeah,
the left foot of fellowship is kind of the what Jesus is saying is you let them go.
Yeah.
But they can't keep doing that here.
And I think the implication there is, unresolved conflict, like we've talked about, it's infectious.
Yeah.
It's not good. It's going to erode a community or relationships from the inside out.
Yeah. True. So this, where we're going to go in the final wrap up, and I want to touch on it just right now before we close out, is this exploration and this application of becoming oriented men and women, the biblical realities of a Zoe life. It's not just the truth, the biblical truth. And I like why we called it the biblical realities, because these need to be real.
Right.
These need to be practiced. They need to be fleshed out, walked out, and embraced in a way that brings change. So I think I'm not sure I'm concerned. What am I? What I've seen is you've got a lot of people who have biblical knowledge, but not biblical application, not biblical realities. And practicing the truth is really the objective. Practicing the truth, living this way, is really what Jesus was wanting us to be empowered to do.
Yeah.
So we hadn't even talked about things like forgiveness. How do you move into that biblical reality?
Ooh.
Restoration.
So did we just add another episode?
Restoration. I just
maybe we'll do another series down the road somewhere.
Apologies.
Yeah. No, I know, man. The information is not lacking. We live in an information age, and even just not even talking about the internet and the computers in our pockets and all of that. I'm just talking about go to church on a Sunday and get taught about a biblical passage. Yeah. What is missing in many organizations, churches included, is the practical application and reality of that scripture in my day-to-day life and relationships.
Yeah. And in this term that you're going to love, and in church discipline itself.
Right.
I can't tell you how many people, especially in the marriages that I get involved in, I want a biblical marriage. Really?
Which one?
Really? well,
Are you sure?
yeah, this is going to hurt
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
this is the biblical realities of that.
Mm-hmm.
You're holding grudges. You're operating from unforgiveness.
Yeah.
You're the wounding that's happening between these two people. Your scorecard is you've been telling me about it for a few weeks, and you're telling me your scorecard. I mean,
You're on your separate hills that you're going to die on,
and we're going to
You're
have
just
to go into the
lobbing
valley
grenades.
of forgiveness,
In between them. Mm-hmm.
and that's a hard journey. Not only down, but back out.
Yeah.
I don't think I don't want to undersell it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very difficult thing to practice, and when we the courage that it takes to do that, and the courage it takes to even own how that made that person feel, which is a very different sentence than admitting that I hurt you.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm talking about is understanding that did hurt you, and that came from me.
Yeah.
Even if I didn't mean it, or, well, you obviously don't understand.
Oh, man.
I mean, it's back.
Any apology followed up by the word "but" is not really an apology.
That's why I go back
I'm sorry
to,
you felt that way,
Yeah.
but that's not really what I meant.
yeah.
Okay. Well, you just completely devalued.
You just reinforced
Yeah.
the very thing that we're trying to work through.
Mm-hmm.
So all that to say,
Stop doing that.
yeah,
That's what it's.
if this was easy,
Yeah. More people would do it.
it would be done.
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah.
and
You know what's great though, man, is it's kind of like my experience has been, okay, walking in this message for 15 plus years. It's really been the last 3 or 4 that I feel like I've received enough healing, not enough information.
yeah,
I've known about all this and been kind of indoctrinated into it for a long time, 10 years plus, before I really got enough healing and understanding that I'm the one that needed to be healed and needed more healing rather than expecting people to change to accommodate me and where I'm at.
yeah.
But kind of now I'm in this space of, yeah, I kind of like it. And
Yeah, I
want to clean out more of the cobwebs that are back there in
Yeah.
the corner somewhere.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, and continue on the exploration of freedom. And
Well,
because it's
I've watched you too, and it's not just remodeling some of the old rooms. I'm watching you build some new ones,
yeah,
and that's what it's about.
yeah.
And it doesn't negate the remodeling
No,
projects.
no. I think that we have to start there.
But it really, I really believe the life of more is expansive. You get freedom starts to look and feel a way that it's hard to describe. Maybe we can try to tackle some of it in the next episode. But like those people that I was talking about that were going at it, I did not feel the need to referee or to get. I could have. Just wasn't I just didn't feel led by God.
Yeah.
To do that.
I don't have to rescue the room. I don't have to rescue myself. I don't have to rescue them.
They don't need a lecture from me. They don't. Now, if they asked me,
Of course.
I would say, "Well, are you sure?"
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad to help or intervene or engage, but to what end?
Yep.
To what end do you want my involvement?
Makes you think of Bagger Vance.
Am I voting for who actually is right? Because you both are kind of making a mess of it.
It makes you think of a clip of Bagger Vance with, seeing the field.
Yeah.
You need to see the field. Well, just give me the club. Okay.
Yeah.
You just keep hacking away like you're hacking weeds under the porch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then he comes back.
You're
and
not
says,
ready. That's the whole point.
Uh-huh.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
For what I think, what I see, what I feel, what I believe is going on.
Right.
And so It's not easy,
Yeah.
but it is good.
Really good.
So
Really
good.
good.
To have not just the theological realities, but the practical. I don't like that word, but I'm going to use it.
It's a practice.
It's the practice.
So it
the
makes
practical.
sense. Yeah.
This becomes part of your game, how you roll,
Mm-hmm.
and you need to experience it, not memorize it.
Right.
Memorizing is good. You need to memorize these verses.
Yeah, I can read a book about how to shoot a free throw. You know, when I learn how to do it, when the ball's in my hand and I'm standing on the line and I've shot 1,000 free throws.
But I would rather encounter somebody who's kind, who doesn't know all the verses, than somebody who does and isn't kind.
100%. 100%. Because if they are, they're carrying the countenance of Jesus. And
really good.
they are going to walk that way and live that way, and there's scriptural
and handle my heart that way.
Scriptural references to back that up.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah.
Ephesians 4, be kind to one another, tenderhearted, forgiving one another. What a great way to live. Right?
Good luck. Good luck.
Yeah,
Come on back to the dugout when you can't hit that pitch.
That's right.
Because and the enemy that verse exists because we need it.
Yeah.
We need to be reminded. So, hey, thank you for being with us on the Exploring More podcast. One more episode on the biblical realities of a Zoe life, kind of a recap.
Yeah.
We want to
anything else
bring it all
we
together.
had to say.
And anything else. This is the journal workbooks episode.
That's right.
So, if you more information, the listening guide is on zoe.org.
Yeah, and zoeoutpost.com.
Zoeoutpost.com. You
can
can search for it.
Check out the goodmanseries.com. And we are a crowd-funded organization. And so if you found this information entertaining, helpful, whatever you might say, we'd appreciate you joining us as a financial partner, zoe.org/give.
Yeah. Thanks for being with us on the Exploring More podcast. We'll see you next time.
We hope you have enjoyed this episode of Exploring More. The landing page for this podcast is zoe.org/podcast. That's ZOWEH.org/podcast, where you can find the show notes and various platforms to which we broadcast. You can also find us and the Life of More by visiting Zoe on YouVersion Bible app, Right Now Media, our Facebook page, and Zoe on Instagram and Twitter. Remember, with God there is always more, and you were made for more.